Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this episode.
I'm going to snort. Okay.
Of Getting Together, your local podcast right here in Prescott, Arizona.
Right here in beautiful. Can we say beautiful Prescott,
And it's
Arizona.
Like full on. It is
Oh my
monsoon
gosh.
season. It's my favorite time of year.
It is. I never thought I would say that.
What?
That monsoon season would be my favorite part of the year. But
Why?
it is. It's special. It's like something, because I'm
No,
from
I know
the
it's
Pacific
special.
Northwest.
Oh.
It rains all the time.
So
And then you go to Wisconsin and it snows and it's cold. And I'm like, the desert, finally. And I moved in June. And by July, it was like downpour. And I thought, what did we do? This is horrible. I can't even enjoy the pool. It's raining.
Oh, yeah. No, it's the best,
In the summer. It's the best,
It's the best.
Jerry. The best.
It is the best. No, it's my favorite time of year. Absolutely. Hands down. Because like right now,
Yep.
it's super sunny.
Sunny.
The whole morning is gorgeous.
There's a little bit of humidity, and I
humidity.
like that.
It feels
I
good
love
on the skin.
It does feel
makes
good.
it
Very
feel
good
more
on the
supple.
pores. Very.
And then afternoon, torrential downpour.
And you can cozy in.
Oh yeah,
It's so good.
Like yesterday afternoon, it got downright chilly.
Yes, it did.
You
I had
could
to put
not
a little sweater on.
Yes, it was fantastic.
I
And
know.
then an amazing sunset.
Yep.
You say goodnight to the sun.
It smells so good.
It smells amazing.
Wake
and
up,
it's done.
And you
And
sit
do
out
it
on the
over
deck.
again.
It's beautiful. The birds
Oh, yeah.
are chirping. They're happy. My flowers are happy.
Oh yes.
Sit there with my coffee and I listen and I'm like, this is amazing.
It is amazing. Absolutely.
So don't let it deter you if you're coming to visit us, like
No, and
for
you're
the
like, "What's the
rodeo
rain
is coming
for?"
on, and
No.
you're like, it's gonna rain. Nope, you can set your watch by it.
Boom.
About 1 o'clock, it's gonna
Incredible
rain.
lightning, incredible thunder, and it's
Yeah.
I love it. I love
Yep.
that time of year.
Me too.
And it's, so one of my
So
favorite
good.
parts, I'll be driving.
Yeah.
And
Is this driving?
This is driving.
Okay.
This is driving.
In case we play
Like,
charades
Sort
sometime.
of rains,
This is
sort of like a big bus.
This is driving. He
Yes,
was driving.
rains. So I was driving, and you look at the dash, and it tells you the outside temperature.
Right.
It's like 88 degrees. I'm
that's
like, oh,
perfect.
okay, whatever.
No, I love
But
it.
then, monsoon hits. Within a
It's like
block and a half.
67.
Within a block and a half.
Yeah.
66 degrees.
I know,
I'm like,
and it's
what?
just-
Roll down the windows, and it is. It's like, oh, it's so gorgeous.
So
anyway.
nice. Except we purchased a black car
Oh, yes.
I will tell you.
But with a turbo.
with the turbo, the S60. And I like washed my car, not thinking monsoons. Dirt everywhere. I don't know why
Dirt.
people have black cars. First of all, it attracts the heat. It's
Yes.
always smoking hot
Yep.
or it's dirty.
Always shows
all
the
the
dirt.
time.
All the
It's
time.
just
All
it
the
was
time.
the right price.
There you go.
And it goes fast.
And it's zippy.
It is. Very
And it's not a minivan.
And I love my van though. I do love my van.
The van is comfortable.
We've talked about that. I love my van.
Much.
Yes.
So I understand today, the day that we record, not the day
Yes.
that you are listening and
Right.
viewing our amazing podcast, is your anniversary. 30 years, actually. 3 decades.
Anniversary. The big 30.
Yeah. It's
And
huge.
you know what's funny about that? Let me tell you what's funny about that.
What's funny about that? I like funny things.
Other people are expecting us to do something huge. Like,
Well, yeah,
and then
like a
they're
trip.
genuinely disappointed when I say we're doing nothing. They're like,
Well, you're not doing nothing.
what? Oh, well, no, I'm being taken out for a big old steak at Texas Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah. You can
Only
tell
because
the
we
girls,
have a gift card.
and you can tell the girls that it's your birthday, and they'll come dance for you.
Will they? I love a good dance. I don't mind it at my table. My husband, mortified.
Yeah.
But I am like, come on.
Yeehaw.
Is it okay if I stand on this table? Would that be
With you?
okay?
Yeah, absolutely. It's Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah, so that's all we're doing because we were going to do the big thing and everything and we're going to just wait. We're going to wait.
Okay.
For instead of just like going somewhere to go somewhere. But I have never told you the story of how Andy and
So
I
wait,
have met.
I think you have.
Have I?
have this-
Did I tell our,
Well, that's what I'm trying to recall right
our 30
now.
people?
I think now. So set my story correct.
Okay.
This could be kind of a fun game here.
Okay. Here
Okay.
we go. We're adjusting microphones and
You're
we're
in
doing.
college.
Yes.
Okay. Ding.
Yep.
He's in like a classroom setting.
Ding. Point 2, Jeremy.
He has an accent.
Ding.
So
From England. The hood
there's
of
something
England.
that clicks there, but you don't like him.
Yes.
Like he's a jerk.
But there's a reason. So you don't know the reason he's a jerk? Not just because he's British. I'm sorry. British friends. It's because he said something.
He said something.
Yes.
Like out loud in the class.
Yes.
Yes.
To me.
Oh, to you.
To me.
To her. Yes.
Right? I'm sitting there. He's sitting down. I'm standing. I'm talking to a friend down the aisle because we'd come to school together. So we're super excited. I'm 18. Even more than I am now. He's sitting down. He's got his Air Jordans on. Do you remember me telling you that? Those were a big deal in the 90s. He's got his Air Jordans.
You
Like $300 shoes. So
Ooh.
I was like, hello. He's got his arms under his armpits. He's sitting. He's got his legs crossed. He's all kicked back like he owns the joint. And I'm talking to my friend. So I'm kind of talking over him. Not being rude, but, he's sitting down. So finally he looks at me and he goes, "Oi, why don't you sit down and shut up?" Yeah. First words to me. The first words. And even with the cute accent, no.
Not really what you want to
I
hear.
did sit down and shut up, though.
Oh.
I didn't. I had no comeback. What do you say? No?
So then where I'm fuzzy next is how you reconcile that.
Well, we didn't for a long time. And the teachers, for the first 2 weeks, made us sit alphabetically. And my maiden name was Chambers. And he's Challinor. I was stuck because they were trying to learn our names, you know?
Sure.
So sit in the same seats. 2 weeks, I had to sit by this rude British Empire man. We owned 3/4 of the world. Yeah.
He would say stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Nice.
He was like,
yeah,
cut
owned.
him,
Past tense.
bled.
You lost it.
The Union Jack.
Wow.
Not anymore, but he did back
Okay.
then. Because he was not in his home, so that was important to him. All the soccer, shirts,
Football.
Liverpool, all,
Yeah. Okay.
all of that.
All right.
Couldn't stand the man. But it turned a corner. We were in the gym a lot. I used to be a gym person.
Okay.
So we had the same group of friends. So we were always kind of going out as a group.
Yeah.
And then finally one night, our group was gone. And it was just the two of us.
Oh.
And I actually decided, you know what, maybe I should get to know him a little bit. I think I've been a little harsh. He did tell me to sit down and shut up.
Yes.
Who does that? So anyway, we met in, the first week of September when school starts. And we were engaged in February.
Okay. So there wasn't
And
a lot of
married
time
in
for anger
June.
there. There you go.
We hadn't even known each other a year. 30
Wow.
years later, here we are.
There you go. 30 years.
So if you want to know the
Congratulations.
secret, I will tell you at some point. I'll sit down. I'll sit down with you and Marissa, and I will tell you guys the secret
But
of
you won't tell our listening
30
audience.
years. No.
Oh,
They can leave something in the comments, and I'll tell them.
the secret.
Yep. It's a secret for a reason.
Okay. Well, then it'll remain
And it
secret.
could
Even
mean
if
that
you
I don't know.
even if you spoke it, it would still be secret.
Because he's
Mostly.
an amazing man that's put up with me for 30 years. I think that's the secret.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
You got to find
Okay.
a European. That's the secret. No?
That's not where I started with my kids, but I guess we can always interject that.
Well, that's what I'm telling my kids.
All right. Number 1, gotta be European.
Got to be European. Yep.
Okay,
They know
then.
how to treat a lady. Okay, but something on another note is
Please.
we have a fabulous guest for you.
Yes.
And a little bit for you because he's part of your kind of past, your brotherhood.
Yes.
Is it true when they say, once a Marine, always a Marine? Is that true with you firefighters? Like you have that camaraderie till the day you die?
Well, I think that's definitely a part. I think there's something that does happen, and I don't know the once a firefighter always a firefighter, but there's something
life
that
and
does
death
happen
together.
in those moments that
Yeah.
are very defining of who you are and what you do and what you're about.
Well, and you kind of all get it. you know? Just the
absolutely.
stress of the job,
the stress, the
the
sacrifice, and things
community
like that.
involvement.
So, no, and especially, I would say, especially with the Prescott Fire Department, because it is so community based. It's a pretty small department still,
Right.
So I think there's even more of that. So I would say, and that's one of the reasons that I'm still tied to the fire department as their chaplain.
Yeah.
Is because there's still something there. I think a lot about those things, and when I hear the sirens, man,
Yes.
adrenaline still pops up a little bit.
Yes,
So
I
it's in
bet.
there.
Huh,
It's
I
in
had
there.
never thought about that. Good. Okay. Well, we have special for you then.
Yep.
We've got the new fire chief.
And here he is.
Here he is.
we are so grateful to have the brand new fire chief of Prescott Fire Department with us today. And Chief, your name is rather unique, and we have continually butchered people's names on this show.
Murder.
It's like it's become almost like a theme.
It's our thing.
So would you do the honor of pronouncing your full name for us?
Yes, please.
Yes. So it's a good question because it's German. So
Okay.
the way that I pronounce it here is Holger Durre.
Okay, Holger Durre.
Now,
Durre.
that
Now.
said, we used to have the U had 2 umlauts on it, and I always joke that those were surgically removed at immigration because I am a German immigrant. Because
Okay.
at the time,
Hey!
you couldn't put a U with the umlauts into a passport or any documents.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, so the German pronunciation is Holger Durre. But as you
Oh,
can
man,
tell,
I love that,
yeah, that
though.
wouldn't really work around
Yeah,
here.
we don't
No.
do that well.
No.
So well.
No.
But
Yeah, that
Okay.
back and
Holger.
throat
Yes.
kind of German
So-
stuff. Yeah.
Chief Durre.
Yes, you nailed it.
Okay,
Can I just say chief? Because it sounds cool.
Chief is cool.
I don't have
Chief
a lot
is
of
good.
chiefs in my life, so chief.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of people that get to be called chief, so
This is
it's very
true.
special.
All right,
So I'm just going with chief.
And most folks actually just call me H or Chief H.
Chief H.
Chief
For first
H.
initial.
Yeah.
Huh. All right.
Wow.
There you go.
Okay.
So, Chief, what brought you to the area? You've been here now, I think you said 3 months. So, what kind of brought you to Prescott? What put Prescott
Our
kind
podcast.
of in? Yes, definitely our podcast.
He knew.
Yeah.
He wanted to be on it.
But what kind of put that in your focus, and then what has that transition been like for you?
Yeah, so I'm obviously a fairly career-driven individual, being younger.
Yes,
and
you were not
being
what
in
I
a fire
expected
chief
when you walked in.
position, right? So I knew being a fire chief was on my roadmap, on my professional development roadmap all the
Okay.
time.
Wow, what would it be like to be that driven, Jeremy? We have no idea.
This is why we interview people.
There you go.
We have no
I'll
idea.
show you my whiteboard. No. Anyway, so I knew that I wanted to be a fire chief. So the question then came, where do I want to be a fire chief at, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was really important to have a connection to the community and the department. So I was looking for a smaller community with the right feel,
Love
a
it.
smaller department with the right feel, and Prescott Fire tapped all those check boxes. It was really unique. So I grew up in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's so similar to Prescott, especially Fort
have
Collins
heard that.
40 years ago
heard
is
that.
almost what Prescott is like now.
Oh, really? Okay.
That it had such resonance with me as a person and also as a leader, and that made the choice really, really easy. So that's why. Now, my wife and I had always said, well, we should look at the Pacific Northwest, so we ended up in Arizona, which makes perfect sense.
You would end up here anyway after
Totally.
Pacific
you
Northwest.
would,
You'd be like, you know
because
what?
I was raised there, so yeah.
Yeah, and she's in Maine right now getting her beach fixed with my
Good
kiddo.
for her.
Oh,
So,
wow.
but yeah, we're settling in already. It's a
Good.
great community, and I mean, even these kind of shows, right? Where I came from, this stuff doesn't happen,
Yeah.
because it's the large conglomerate of the Front Range of Colorado, which is almost like Silicon Valley,
Yeah.
and it is really growing like crazy there. I mean,
Yeah.
our growth is significant, but it has changed culture. It has changed everything in the community. So it's much more impactful. So that's why
Yeah.
I wanted to be in a place where it was more local.
That's awesome. I think you've hit upon that for sure here. One of the things that we've had as a theme throughout the guests that we've had and throughout our time doing the podcast has been that very thing. Like, even as we grow, people say it's a really cool hometown feel, and that it still feels like you can meet people and have an intimate relationship with them and be able to sit down and just have something in common.
Yeah.
That is sort of the Prescott way, and so that's a really cool thing. And
Mm-hmm.
then were you what role were you in there in were you on
So
the
I
fire service in Fort Collins?
So the way I started was on a hospital-based ambulance service in 1995, and I did 5 years as an EMT, and then was lucky enough to get hired by the fire department in Fort Collins, and it's an authority model like CAFMA.
No idea what you're saying right now.
They do.
I
Yeah,
have the
yeah.
glasses on to make me seem intelligent, but I don't know what you're
You're
saying.
pulling it off, by the way.
Thank you.
So I spent 17 years at Poudre Fire Authority working through the ranks. And there I had a pretty important experience early on in my career, and I went into fire prevention probably earlier than most folks do.
Oh, is that
I'd
what
only-
you did?
Yes, I was
Yeah.
fire prevention.
There you go.
starting
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, 4.5 years in, and that changed my entire perspective of the fire service and how it fits into the community.
Okay.
It was awesome, because you get to see the community, the business community, how codes are adopted, how we impact people beyond just a big red truck.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
And
good.
that really actually is what led my professional development drive that we were talking about, because that's when I caught on fire. I was going to go to medical school, and that's how I ended up in the fire service, is through the medical side. And then I became a public policy nerd out of all this, and got my master's in public administration while I was in the department in Fort Collins. And then that led to a deputy fire chief spot in Boulder for 5 years. So I spent from 2017 until just late last year in Boulder as the deputy chief there, and then here. So,
okay, so this is your first position as fire chief.
That's correct.
I'm tired.
Yeah, and
I'm tired.
hopefully my
Listen
only
about it.
position as fire chief, and I say that
awesome.
genuinely.
Oh yeah,
this is where I want to stay.
Really?
awesome.
Well, why
So,
wouldn't you?
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
right?
that's good. And then your family just recently was able to join you.
Yep.
But then they took off again to Maine.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
So,
everybody's here now, and you're established and
Yes.
kind of getting your feet under you. What have been some of those things that you thought about Prescott before you got here, and have they changed? And what are your perceptions? And just how have you been received, I guess, in
Yeah.
Prescott here?
That's a
Yeah.
good question.
Well, let's start with the family side.
Yes.
So
Who do you
so I have a 10-year-old boy who's about to turn 11,
Aw.
and then my wife, who both thought Arizona. When they heard Arizona, they
Cactus.
thought of the valley.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely.
So did I.
Yeah, and my parents actually lived in the
And I
valley
was
for
like,
quite a
ugh.
while, so she had good reason to believe that.
Right.
And quickly we noticed just how much like home, back home,
Heaven.
Okay.
this is. It
Oh,
really
isn't
is
that great?
like the Front Range of Colorado in terms of climate, elevation, everything, and the recreation obviously is
Yes.
tremendous. Now, as far as me, I continuously get surprised by this fire department. So I
In a
use
good way?
in a really good way.
Okay,
I
good.
use every public speaking opportunity and podcast included to tell folks how genuinely proud I am of our department.
Yeah.
They are literally the most resilient and versatile firefighters I've been around. And I do accreditation site visits across the country. I teach. So I see
wow.
a lot of fire departments,
Yeah.
and our fire department is unique because we are a very lean fire department,
Yeah.
and that's good and bad.
Okay.
And the good pieces of it is that we get exposure to things that firefighters, engineers, and captains usually don't get exposure in other departments to, because they have administrative staff or chiefs that take care of it. And so we have engineers running programs that other folks have 40-hour staff for. Now that's one of the things on the vision board for me that I have to attend to, because we can't sustain that forever.
Right.
You know?
Burn everybody out.
Exactly. But at the same time, looking back at all the history in this department, including June 30th, we
it's
have
coming
some
right up.
very resilient firefighters in a very good way, and they have such community pride. The secret sauce that we have right now is hometown firefighters protecting their hometown. And that really brings that dedication to the
Yeah.
table that you can't find
their
in other
family
fire
and friends.
departments. That's exactly it. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's the thing that I found. The other thing is too, there was, I think, perception out there in the fire department for a while that we were underfunded or that we weren't supported. And I need to dispel that rumor and that myth wherever I go. Our council is on board. Our city manager is on board.
It's good.
They're very supportive. The community, we know, is extremely supportive of us.
Yeah.
So it's a great combination of having these awesome firefighters with community support. We just got to put those things together with a good plan
Good.
and move forward to meet the needs of the community.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Maybe a good calendar. Fireman calendar, or
Dude,
no?
you're so weird.
Don't go there.
No, not yet. Let him get his feet wet.
Too soon.
Have
Too
a
soon.
community together. I'm just saying.
Part of the community, weirdo. But no, I think that's one thing that really I just recently began to enter back into the fire service as the fire chaplain, and over the period of time that I was gone, I mean, there are a lot of relationships and things that, because of that very thing of community. When I came into the fire service, and I had no background, it was sort of a stopgap for this thing that I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
And then I quickly just fell in love with not only the work, but then the people here truly care. I mean, we're going, and one call in particular, middle of the night, this guy's having a panic attack.
Oh.
And one of our firefighters, like we kind of knew stuff was just it was just a little off. But one of our firefighters got down next to this guy and just took, it was like 45 minutes, and just put his arm around him and just talked him through it. and we were able to keep him out of the hospital and ended up with a really good result. But it was that personal touch. It was not just going in, taking care of like, okay, there's no medical emergency, we're out. But there was a very personal, hey, this is our community. We're going to invest in this thing. And that stuck with me. And that's why I still want to be a part of what happens with this fire department. So it's a really cool thing. And I'm excited to have you on as the chief. I think just even the short conversations that we've had, your vision and your passion and just your compassion for this department shines through. So that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, and I think it's a good match. I mean, you mentioned that call is such a great story of what our fire department is about. And that is something you can't put in a policy book. No. You can't write a rule about it. No. You can't train for it, you know. And I have a big philosophy around hiring promotion is that we will hire and promote for character and compassion, and we'll train the technical aspects.
Thank you for that. So, that's great. I'd love to see that in more places. Really, truly.
It is definitely true that a lot of these things that we do, or that people in the fire service do, you can be trained, and there's a part of that, but that thing of character, and if you're out on that call and you're a twit,
it's so true.
And that's going to undermine all the rest of it.
Yes,
so
even
I really appreciate
the school that our kids go to it's a little different. But I remember sitting with the teacher and her kind of trying to say how my son was progressing and I just stopped and I said, "Is he nice? Is he kind? Like, we'll get through the scholastic stuff, but can we work on character?" Like, because there's just some jerky people in the world. Can we just start with our kids now, raising them up, and can we put more emphasis on rewarding or whatever, or applauding character? I really, and she was a little taken back because she's a very, very smart, scholastic, smart person. And I thought, that's really what matters to me. Is my son kind? Is he going to contribute to society in a nice way?
Yeah.
That's what matters. So I love that. Thank you.
Yep.
So speaking of community and collaboration and all these kinds of things, one of the other things that we hear people talk about is just the willingness for people to collaborate in Prescott. That people are more than willing to kind of sit down across from people who may not be exactly the same or have the same
I've never
thing,
seen it
but
done
for the
like
community
here.
advancement. And one of those ways that people do this is through Dancing for the Stars.
I cannot believe that you have only been here 3 months and you said yes to this.
Yes.
You are my kind of crazy. I want to meet your wife because she's my kind of crazy too, to go, "Sure, honey. Go ahead.
No problem.
Dance in front of the whole community." I mean, she must be pretty amazing.
She is. She absolutely is. She's also at some point, I think, going to be canonized for sainthood.
Nice.
She's put up with me for a long time. But so one of my goals this year is I will not turn down any opportunities that are moral and ethical for service.
Oh man, you said that out loud now. Our 30 viewers are going to hold you to that.
Please do. So it is my lifeblood right now. It's what I need. I mean, every leader, right? You have to have that full range of taking care of yourself, so you can take care of others.
Yeah.
One of the things that I need to feed my soul with this year is to do service for others. It's really, really important for me. So yes,
you
dancing.
You do that. You know that, right?
Right. It's kind of built into the whole.
You do.
Yes-ish. Right. But yeah, Dancing for the Stars came to me through Joe Baines from Parks and Rec, who had also been on Dancing for the Stars, and he recruited me, and he got me at exactly the right moment.
Vulnerable, got you liquored up. You were over at Founding Fathers. No, wait, what?
No, it was just a phone call. And so he got me hooked on it. I mean, I kind of checked out a couple of the YouTube videos of past shows, and I said,
my goodness.
To your point, my kind of crazy, I need to be a part of this.
That's
love
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
So now I understand in a lot of the dancers that they bring in, that there's actually some sort of, I don't know, almost like a ceremony. They present a rose and they ask you to be a part of
you're
being
taken
a celebrity.
out for a meal.
So
typically.
what was that like for you? Were you kind of surprised by it, or was it just that phone call?
So when Joe called me, I didn't really have a concept yet of what to expect. And then
Right.
when, to your point, the rose delivery came, I was like, uh-oh, what did I get myself into?
Right.
And it just started unfolding from there. And once I saw the promotional videos they do for the day,
Yes.
oh man, I was
right.
like, man, this
Hilarious.
is a
Some of them are
whole
funny.
deal. So yeah, it's been an eye opener. So a couple things. Number one, I am not good at self promoting, or
Amen.
at getting
Yeah, he understands.
Yeah,
Like-
or at getting like donations. You know, that's
Okay.
even like takes it to another level.
It
Now,
does. You're
granted,
right.
I'm getting donations for a really good cause and not for me, so
Yes.
that helps. But I'll use this opportunity to shamelessly plug. Vote for Sasha and I on Dancing for the Stars,
Yes.
and we're still looking for donors. So if there's folks out
Okay.
there listening that are willing to support us,
Yes,
we are
please do.
absolutely would be tickled pink if you want to help the Boys and Girls Club out and watch
Yes.
this guy make a fool out of
Right.
himself.
Plus,
by
we want to
all
beat the
means.
sheriff.
That's it.
You gotta beat the sheriff with your donations. That's
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
what
beat
it's
the
about.
sheriff.
And we
Okay.
do have an informal competition.
Good.
So
See, I didn't know that.
yes,
That's great.
it's a law against fire
I love
thing.
it.
So him and I are kind of, trading jabs
That's
across
the way it should be.
the public
Yes.
safety
Good.
aisle, so to speak, and it's good.
Great.
Yeah.
That's
And
so good.
So your professional dancer is Sasha Naz?
That's correct.
Ah,
Sasha.
Sasha. I keep
Sasha
yes.
Naz.
See what I tell them with the names.
Yep.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, so
and
I
have you
mean-
started rehearsals yet?
Oh yes.
Oh, I
Oh,
can't
yes.
even imagine. It's going to be
Yes.
so
Oh
great.
my
If you
goodness.
have her and she's doing your choreography, it'll be amazing.
Yes,
That's
I
awesome.
call her my drill sergeant.
Oh,
she
she's
is
serious.
incredible.
Yeah.
She's first of all just a really good human being,
She
as is her
really is.
husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
And
really
they've
cool.
been so
They're fun.
patient, because I am not a dancer. I'm German. Did I mention that? So yeah, I don't even have a sense of humor, So, but yeah, if it was a polka, maybe I could figure it out mechanically. But she's been doing an amazing job getting me ready. We are stepping up our practices to more than once a week, and let's just say that might be after school detention because I'm not picking it up fast enough. So, but we also want it obviously to look awesome.
Yes.
And to be entertaining.
Uh-huh.
We've also enlisted the help of some of our firefighters to be backup dancers in the show.
Oh
Hello.
my gravy.
So this is just amazing.
Now I have to go.
Yep. All your
exactly.
buddies.
Yeah.
You got to cheer them on.
Very curious to see who that would be.
Yeah.
Because I have some desire to see certain guys
Right.
stomping it out up there.
Right.
So
Right.
that'd be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we'll see.
All right.
How
Lots of
fun.
fun things.
Yeah.
Lots of
Oh,
surprises
so
around the
grateful.
corner. One of the other things, just Prescott has a lot to offer in terms of recreation and different things, but how do you kind of you have a lot on your shoulders as the fire chief, especially for a department who's been through a lot. How do you kind of detox? How do you kind of just let your hair down? And what do you find in this area that kind of helps you decompress?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, right? I mean, it's not just for leaders, it's for everybody. You have to have balance in life, and you have to have a place for healthy outlets. And for me, I trail run, I like mountain biking, I play soccer. I've joined the department softball team, which is kind of fun because I haven't played in
nice.
15 years. So, and that helps quite a bit decompress, spending time with family. I'm, interestingly enough, an introvert, which being a fire chief is not an introverted position. And so when I get home, I do like to spend time
Alone.
on my own.
Yeah.
Not just like I don't seclude myself anymore. I did a lot of work on this is because public safety folks, as you know, they can come home and just shut down. And that is not the right recipe.
No. Those of us at home waiting for you to get home don't like that.
Correct. Exactly.
We want to know exactly what happened in your day.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Sometimes.
Sometimes, I'm sure. Yeah.
Now, my wife has also just finished 23 years in public safety working for the Sheriff's Department in
okay.
Boulder. And so it was a little
Whoa.
bit easier for us to kind of have that understanding. She first started in dispatch and was in property and evidence. So
Oh, my goodness.
we didn't have to
23
explain
years.
certain things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still, when you're home, you want to be home.
Yeah. What a gift.
So,
that you guys have that.
And
together.
being a fire chief can be all engrossing. We do have a lot of conversations, not like call related, but department development related that I'm sure she rolls her eyes at, kind of like, oh my gosh, I don't want to hear this again. But I've got to have that sounding board too.
Yes. And we
So-
want to be that as wives. We want to be that. Can I ask a question about your childhood? Because you seem very driven and you got the whiteboard. So as a kid, was this it? This was it?
Not at all.
Okay, what did you want to do?
Not at all. So first of all, I was adopted when I was 7 days old. And
I'm an adopted mom.
oh, there you
Two
go.
adopted kids. Yeah, foster mom. for years. Yeah.
So, and when I got adopted, I was adopted by my dad, who has a PhD in computer science.
Whoa.
My mom, who basically now has a master's, and my sister, who's 2.5 years older than me, who's blind and went through Yale with a double major in 3 years and now has a PhD.
I've done nothing with my life.
I'm the slug. I am the slug.
Ray out.
Yeah. I am the slug. So
nothing.
yeah. So to say that we have being driven in our DNA is definitely there. My mom and I are type A to the hilt.
Oh,
I mean,
well, bless
we used
your
to,
family.
yeah,
It's
we used to
harsh.
play tennis against each other and not talk on the way home because we got so competitive.
Oh my gosh.
So, but yeah,
How
that's
funny.
where the drive came from. But it's interesting you mentioned that being driven, because I needed a connection to have it make sense, because it is community and public service is what drives me. It's not just achievement for me.
Yeah.
It's really that passion, and like we all know, right, public safety folks have that passion.
Yeah.
And I found a perfect connection. Now, what did I want to do when I was younger? Well, the first thing, when I was 4 years old, I made the statement that I wanted to be a police dog. Don't ask me where I came up with that one. But then, in my pre-growing up phase, like I said, I wanted to be a doctor.
Oh, that's right.
I wanted to
you
go to
had said
medical
that.
school.
Okay.
Yeah, and either be an emergency room doctor or a trauma surgeon.
Wow.
And again, it was that passion for service. That's really, it kind of combined the geekiness of medicine and my passion for service. So
Wow.
that's what I wanted to do. But,
Okay.
well,
we're so
the
blessed
path-
that your life took a little. I mean, either way, it was a win-win. Either he was gonna, surgery,
Right.
or save people's lives.
Yeah.
Being a fire
Precious.
chief.
That's awesome.
Can I ask one more? The bracelets.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you tell us what all those mean?
I have no problem talking about that.
Because I'm just thinking, the watch, but then you've got it's a talking point.
Right. So,
What do you got?
so one of them is 22 a day.
Okay.
So that's the 22 veterans that commit suicide every day
Ooh.
on average. And so it's to show that support and to be mindful.
Yeah. Well, I was not aware, so
Yep,
thank you.
Absolutely. And then the other two is I'm actually a person living in recovery.
Okay.
And these are my intentional. So my son gave me this bracelet.
Aw.
And then this is just my reminder, to be mindful wherever I am. And it's been
good.
the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how amazing that experience has been. It's probably been, I would say it's probably the most life-changing experience next to having a kid and getting married.
Wow.
It's been that impactful to me. And it's just been incredible to get to like re-engineer myself.
Yes.
And again, with that same passion and that same, drive.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. I love it.
Well,
So-
and you're in a great spot for that.
Yes,
I
indeed.
just think we have, we're recovery aware in this area, and it's going to bring compassion both ways and awareness. And I mean, being a person of faith, it's no accident that you're here.
Yeah, and that also explains my need for service, right? That's one of the reasons why I'm so driven for service. The other thing is I made a personal choice to do this. A lot of folks enter recovery and they don't make a personal choice.
That's very
They're
true.
told by a judge, they're
Right.
told by a spouse, they're told by somebody. And I was the one that said, you know what? I need to live differently. I want to re-engineer who I am. And that's really where this started. And I am so glad I did it. I mean, it is unbelievably incredible. If we had time and another whiteboard, I could really map out the things that have happened. And it's just, to your point, faith,
Yeah.
I mean, doors opened once
No
I got out of
mistakes.
my own way.
Yeah. Preach it,
and gave it
brother.
up to a higher power. So,
Yes,
yep.
yes, preach it.
incredible.
Absolutely. If we just get out of our own way sometimes.
And my own head.
Yeah.
My own way,
yeah.
my own head.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where I get tripped up.
Totally. Absolutely. Oh, that's good. Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing
yeah,
that.
because I've learned your ego is not your amigo. So
There's a t-shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Oh, let's do that. Okay.
Do that.
Okay. We'll have to start a new line. Things that come out of the podcast. Your ego is not your amigo.
Right. I like it.
Uh-huh.
Can we steal it?
Ego is what drives our podcast. So.
Oh, that's right. No, yeah. Well, I
Okay.
didn't say we were going to wear them.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
We'll sell them.
So, Chief, thank you so much for taking some time and being here today with us.
Yeah,
and we do like to kind of end with a question just about who you would get together with, since our podcast is about getting together, sitting down, community, conversation, and coffee. But who is someone that if you had that opportunity just to sit and talk with them, chat, maybe pick their brain, or just be with them, who is someone that you would like to do that with?
So there's two. Okay. One on the personal side, one on the professional side. The personal side would be my biological dad and mom. Okay. I would love an hour to sit with them and learn about them, understand, because I know they made a very tough decision. I don't know why at this point. And so I would love to sit with them and just learn.
My kids would too. I think it's a natural thing.
And it's an identity thing.
Yeah, you want to know where you came from.
Complete that little puzzle piece that you don't quite know.
Absolutely. Yes.
And then Chamberlain from Gettysburg. Chamberlain. Yep.
Okay.
The Battle of Little Round Top.
Wow.
So there is the famous bayonet charge that apparently was one of the shifts in the Civil War, and the leadership lessons that are there. I mean, he was a school teacher and academic, and joined the Union Army, and very humble, very self-controlled. And when you watch the movie Gettysburg, you kind of get to see a little bit of that. Of course, it's an idealized version in terms of a movie, but I've studied him quite a bit in my leadership journey, and man, an hour with him would be unbelievable. So because it was one of those decisions of really they were out of bullets, and one of the things is every leader at some point is faced with a situation where they have to fix their bayonets and say, I'm willing to die on this hill. Quite literally, right?
Quite literally, right.
And making those decisions, right, is one of the responsibilities you take up as a leader, because a leader is there, in essence, to give of themselves selflessly if they do it right. And the decision-making process that he used, I think, would be incredible. Not just to say, what did you do in the moment, but what's your life story and how did you come to form those values to make those decisions? Right. That's really, to me, the interesting foundation that I'd love to learn a lot more about. So.
So, Chief, you had mentioned June 30th a little bit earlier, and that anniversary is coming up real quickly. Actually, this podcast will air on Wednesday, and so the following day is the 30th, and that has incredible significance for our community, what they went through almost 9 years ago, and it will be 9 years ago this Thursday. So can you just talk a little bit about that and some of the preparations even for the 10-year mark that's coming up next year?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, we talked about me picking this community because it was a community-based fire department, and you're absolutely right. This is a tragedy that impacted the entire community. And we also know, right, that it impacted the entire American fire service, and I'll touch on that just a little bit when we talk about the 10th. As far as the 9th, we're planning the usual remembrances that we have done over the last few years. In addition, a quick plug for the Granite Mountain Intercollegiate Hotshot Learning and Tribute Center. Their anniversary is coming up, and on Wednesday we'll actually have an anniversary. It's not a celebration, but an anniversary commemoration at the Gateway Mall at 12:30. So if people want to come see that, of course, it'll be literally the day this podcast is released. But I'm so glad you brought up that entire issue, because it does inform my leadership quite a bit, and it's one of the reasons why I reached out to you as our department chaplain, and I'm trying to intentionally bring you back in and really form kind of a not a cocoon is the wrong word, because that kind of implies that we're going to just hide from it, but a protective armor around the fire department, and having all of the various components of support, including good mental well-being, spiritual care, really that whole umbrella. That's something that we're working on. And anytime an anniversary comes up, right, we have 67 folks on the department, and there's going to be 67 different ways of coping with it. And they're unique, and they're individual, and it's going to extend to the community. So it brings up old thoughts, it brings up new hopes, and we're really trying to build a department where there's a container to allow for all of that. And so speaking of the 10th, because we know that the 10th usually signifies a more aware draw. We're going to form what we call an incident management team right in early July and use the entire year for planning so that we can prepare the community for this, because we're going to have national media impact again.
I would think so.
Especially if there's a fire, God forbid,
smoke on the
close
horizon,
to it.
sure.
Exactly, and so we really want to make sure that this is a community extension to the American Fire Service as well, where they can come learn, they can come mourn, they can come commemorate, and we want to be ready for that. And one of the reasons why we're being so proactive is I also take the role of protecting the families very serious, giving them the appropriate shielding from that, I think, is also important. Sure, the ones that want to be active participants in some of the more public things, they'll let you know that. But there's plenty of folks that just, would like to be left alone. And so if we're not ready for that, that could be a problem. And so we just want to be prepared.
That's a good point. Absolutely.
So,
there will be a number of people, I'm sure, that do make that journey just to come and pay their respects, and the number of people in the fire service that it has impacted. I mean, you talk to any fire service person across the United States, and they're familiar with the incident. And so it has impacted lives in a number of different ways. So I think that's really, I'm glad to hear that, and we'll continue to pray for your leadership and the things that are happening over that entire year, because it's a huge deal.
Well, and ultimately, right, who's this about? Yes, the community, yes, the department, yes, the American Fire Service, but it's really about 19 lives, right?
Yes.
19 men that were incredibly impactful on their families, and folks that are unfortunately no longer part of our community.
Right.
And we need to make sure that we always remember that as well.
Absolutely.
It's good.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
But Chief, again, thank you so much for coming and just being a part of this community podcast.
Yes.
And we're so grateful that you're here and excited for the long term and for the long haul, but also excited for this short term thing. Thanks for being a part of the community and supporting in this way. So we will have a link down below, definitely, to be able to support them. Go there, check out all the dancers, and support this incredible thing for Boys and Girls Club Prescott. So with that, we will see you on the next episode. Like, subscribe, share the snot out of it, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you so much.
Bye.